Alright, Mount Stromboli. And a little background. Alright. I had to cut this video. I had no choice. But I want to bring you a few things. Okay, so we're at Mount Stromboli, and in the last 24 hours we had an eruption. Huge eruption. And I'm just watching and monitoring. Call it a stakeout. But I've got a little bit of physicist stuff to bring to you. And here it is.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X research and professional physicist. And today I'd like to bring to you another one of my articles. This one's entitled Rocks with Buildings and Antenna Suspended in the Air, Planet X Debris. Now, figure 1 below shows a screenshot from a video by Mr. MBB333 in which he pointed out two objects which appear to be two flying craft and something which look like antenna. You can see that. It looks like two craft there flying together and antenna
Mount
here.
Stromboli.
But in addition, solid rock seems to be within the cloud. You can see that. It looks like solid. The edge of solid rock, as if we had a mountain amongst the cloud, and that would be the top of the mountain. Looks like the edge of rocky edge of a mountain. So this means that this is most likely a large piece of Planet X debris, a piece from the surface of one of the Planet X planets, which broke up thousands of years ago. The antenna would then be another piece of evidence to the fact that there was technologically advanced life on the planets. The two craft indicate that the powers that be on our planet were in the process of examining this piece of debris. So this looks like antenna there. But you can see that this is not just pieces of rock. That looks like the edge, the top of a mountain. Definitely looks like solid, a solid piece of rock there. That's not just cloud. But then you see these concentric circular structures here. And that indicates that what we actually have here is a building. It's buildings, it's a building structure. And there's some kind of outcrop here, and then there's an antenna there at the edge. And you can see there's this straight line here, and what looks like a dome here. It's even clearer in the next screenshot that I'll show. But this definitely looks like solid pieces of rock amongst the cloud. Sort of. So this is not just cloud. This is rock within the cloud, and that structure is attached to that rock, that antenna. So this comes from this YouTube video by Mr. MBB333 from 2nd July 2019. And here's another one of these screenshots. It's even clearer. This is a straight line. So this is the edge of a building or a wall. This looks like a dome structure rising out of the cloud. This looks like the edge of a circular building. Sort of a stepped structure. We step downwards this way here. So that would be the top. It looks like a domed building. And you can see that clearly looks like solid matter in there as well. This is not just cloud. This is solid material within the cloud. And a lot of it is symmetrically structured. So these are artificially buildings. These are artificial signs of technologically advanced civilization on these pieces of rock. And then we have these two structures here. These look like cylindrical structures aligned with each other, as if they were meant to be one structure with a gap in it. It's like a gap there. And these are, as I say here, close to the antenna, you can clearly see. And there are many others. Look at these. These look like solid objects. They are light colored, but they do not seem to be a part of this cloud structure. They do not seem to be a part of the cloud. They seem to be solid objects there. Almost like vehicles or I am not sure, or boats, vehicles, but they do not look like they are natural cloud formations. Now, the Planet X planets were destroyed as a result of energy depletion. This caused the planets to break into pieces and all the pieces to be energy depleted, which means that they have very low gravitational potential, and thus, even though they are as dense as matter found on the surface of the Earth, they remain suspended in the atmosphere until they have absorbed enough energy to reach the ground. Large pieces absorb energy very slowly, and thus take a long time to drop through the atmosphere. This is why this one's suspended in the atmosphere. So this was taken from an airplane. So the airplane is above this large piece of rock in the sky. So they take a long time to reach the surface. This is also not the first time that rocks have been observed suspended in the Earth's atmosphere. And buildings have also been observed on pieces of rock, and these are referred to as cities in the sky. Now, here's a photograph of clearly rocks suspended in the atmosphere above this mountain. These look like the tops of mountains, but there's nothing connecting these pieces of rock to the ground. There's nothing behind this mountain here. This one is connected to the ground. These are not. This is pieces of rock, or even a large piece of rock suspended in the atmosphere, just like what we saw in Figure 1 and in Figure 2. So you may look at Article 546 for more details on this. These are cities in the sky which were observed from China. This is the same city observed from different perspectives. You can see buildings, very large buildings. Obviously, they remain upright, which suggests that there is a gravitational gradient in the rocks, which causes them to keep the densest part at the bottom. So these buildings were built on the surface of the Planet X planet, and these are now coming in on the surface debris pieces. So the planets broke up, and the debris pieces are coming inside the Earth's atmosphere. And here's another one. This was observed in Peru. This is a huge piece of rock. As you can see, it's long and flat, and obviously large enough to have had many buildings upon it, had it been a part of the Planet X planets that had buildings on it. So, and the cities seen in the sky do not seem to be built on thick pieces of rock. They also flat and like this one. So this suggests that the surface of these planets may have broken into pieces of rock that were long and flat, like that. And this diagram illustrates how gravitational potential increases with depth. So for normal material that is not energy depleted, density increases with depth as well. So denser material is high in gravitational potential, but not the Planet X debris, because it's energy depleted. So even though pieces of rock that are dense enough to have been on the surface of the planets, like they would have been on Earth, they are energy depleted, so they have the same gravitational potential as something that on Earth only occurs within the atmosphere. That's usually low density material. But this is why they remain suspended in the atmosphere until they have gained enough gravitational potential. But very large pieces seem to absorb energy very slowly. So they drop down through the atmosphere very slowly, possibly even taking months to do so. Now here is an island which appeared in the middle of a frozen lake where no island had ever been. and this was in Finland. So there was no volcanic or seismic activity that could explain it either, in which case it would have risen out of the water, but there was nothing like that. So obviously it came from the sky. And as you can see, the island seems to be bordered by an artificial structure which looks like columns, all the same height, all neatly aligned, which cannot in any way be natural. So these are artificial structures. You can see the color geometric pattern on them as well. You may look at Article 642 for more details on this. And no, this cannot possibly be a mirage. A mirage is the product of the human mind trying to make sense of something which it cannot clearly see. If this had been a mirage, it would not be clearly defined. We would be wondering what it was and applying our imagination. But no imagination is necessary here. Artificial columns and square patterns in different colors can be clearly discerned. As you can see, brown, green, purple. It looks green. Some look purple. It's another brown there. Different colors. These are clearly artificial, and they came from the sky. This is Planet X debris, and it shows that there were artificial, intelligently designed structures on the surface of these planets. So, and I always have to say that because there will always be people who would like to say, that's the usual excuse for anything like this, by the powers that be, that it's a mirage. Clearly it's not a mirage. It's clearly discerned. We can clearly see what is there. And these are artificial structures. So this is Planet X debris coming in, and I think the powers that be like to steer it to places where this debris will sink through the surface of a lake or the ocean and end up at the bottom and away from anyone being able to see them. Now, all asteroids are in fact Planet X debris, or broken pieces of planets, and the solar system is filled with them. The observation of how these large pieces of rock behave when they enter the Earth's atmosphere gives us an idea of the huge lies we have been told regarding what is going on in the solar system and on Earth, and in particular about the danger inherent in a large asteroid colliding with the Earth, as what was observed from the airplane clearly shows that such an impact is impossible, and so does this island.
It's all fake.
So, this means that no impact by an asteroid is possible. No Planet X debris. That's what the asteroids are. They are pieces of broken planet, and the solar system is full of it because so many of these core systems, the core systems were released when the planets broke apart, are coming in surrounded with all this debris that used to be what the planet was made of. So no, Planet X cannot cause a cataclysmic event through the impact of this material because it takes so long to come down through to the surface of the Earth, to come down through the atmosphere. So no, Planet X can actually only cause cataclysmic events, not through impacts, but through these core systems influencing Earth's own core system. So not due to large asteroid or large Planet X debris impacts. The most dangerous of this debris are actually Planet X debris water, which comes in as hailstones. And you may look at Article 963 entitled Planet X bringing in larger hailstones, increasing effects. So in conclusion, a photograph taken from an airplane shows a large piece of Planet X surface debris with artificial structures on it, and demonstrates once again the degree of deception that we human beings have been subjected to regarding what is really happening in the solar system and on our planet.
Amen.
And these are the references.
There you go. And it's just getting cooked up, and I'm going to have to shut it off now. But I'll be back and upload another one. God bless you all. We won't miss